the whole macho mindset of like, you just gotta will it, bro. If you don't want it enough, then you don't deserve it. Fuck that. I'm sorry. Fuck that. Okay. There is a way to get the progress that you want by eating the foods that you absolutely love. It's more of a matter of quantity rather than like cutting it all out. It's not the specific foods that are going to get you there. It's the amount that you eat to a degree. What's up, everybody? Another week, another fun-filled podcast. So let's start it off with some updates. Just a little minor one. And that is that I am officially working for myself, no longer working for the gym that I am. Well, I'm at it for one more week, but by the time this comes out, probably be Monday. So this upcoming Friday will be my last day. So if anybody at GFP is listening, get another workout with me. I'd love to have one more time hanging out. But yeah, time to do my own thing. Thanks to all the lovely people online, I was able to go out on my own, and I could not be more excited. To be honest, it's really not in my being to be working for somebody else. I'm just that type of person that it's always been an itch. Like, I don't like the stress and anxiety that comes of like trying to live up to somebody else's expectations and pack their wallet. So that's just me. Both my grandfathers own their own businesses, so I'd say there's some sort of genetic component there. Yeah. So very, very, very excited. If you're in the Parsippany, New Jersey area, I'd be more than happy to train you. I'm setting up the whole garage setup. It's looking sweet. Okay, you don't need a whole lot of equipment when you know what you're doing, so should be a lot of fun. I'm also thinking of names. So I haven't really settled on one just yet, but my mind is leaning towards the bar. So when your husband or wife asks, so where are you heading out to? Oh, the bar. But we're actually getting a workout in. And I have a bunch of like at home bar stuff, like tapestries or whatever you'd call them, like signage. So I'm thinking maybe we'll just put it all over the walls, make it a fun spot. But I'm open to ideas. It's a garage gym, so I mean, let's get creative. If you have any ideas, throw it in, like email it to me at coachfits1@gmail.com, or somehow you could get me on Instagram, TikTok. Throw me your ideas. I'm all about it. And that's that for the big update. What else? Oh, that Friday. So this will come out on a Monday. This upcoming Friday, August 6th, the 7th. So the Saturday after my last day, I'm going to be heading down to Sandbridge Beach in Virginia. For anybody who hasn't been, it's awesome. Like, my family just keeps going back because it's a great time. Like, I gotta stop saying I'm sorry. The one thing I'm looking forward to the most, other than the super peaceful 7-hour trip in the car by myself, can't wait. As you can tell, this is kind of like my jam. I'll definitely be filming a podcast on the way down. But other than that, I also snagged some pool workout equipment. So for those of you that aren't familiar, like, I'm not talking like the water aerobics weights, as fun as those are, but these are basically kind of like that, but a little bit more intense. So for anybody that has heard me in the past podcasts talk about Ben Bruno, I feel like I talk about him in every single podcast. He is the person that I saw using these on like professional athletes and some actors and all these other people. And I'm like, that looks like fun. Now, it won't be like the bulk of my workouts, but if I'm in Virginia Beach or Sandbridge Beach and I have a pool down there, don't normally have access to a pool, I'm going to make the most out of it while I'm down there. So expect some fun looking workouts coming from that trip. Uh, and yeah, that's that's it for updates, I believe. Yep. So let's get on with today's podcast. Today, I'm going to be answering some questions because while this drop address size challenge has like been promoted, okay, and by the way, 4 out of 5 spots at the moment right now are filled. I'm so pumped, but we got that one spot left, just the one. So by the time you guys hear this, that spot will be filled. But I'm just very excited going into the weekend. Uh, been getting a lot of really good questions on like the Q and A's that we've been doing, um, in the comments sections, just from people reaching out. So I figured I'll just take the best of the best, and we'll talk about it a little bit. So the first one is just the general topic. It wasn't really much of a question, but it's more, I hear a lot of people, not here, I read a lot of the messages in the comments and in the messages for TikTok and Instagram where people tell me, like, I'll ask, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? What have you done? And when we get to that question of what have you done, more times than not, it always seems to go the route of, well, I lost X amount of weight because I did keto, I did vegan, I just focused on eating better, and I want to keep it off, and I want to keep this lifestyle of eating healthy. And I'm like, well, what does eating healthy mean to you? And they're like, well, eating protein, veggies, and then it gets to this part where it's, I don't eat this stuff because it's my kryptonite. I don't like to have this because it just takes me off the wagon. And that's a toxic relationship with food when you're actively avoiding something that you truly enjoy. Now, if it's for medical reasons, like me personally, I have a gluten thing, so I avoid it because it's not good for my body. But if it's because you think there's some sort of magical benefit that if you don't eat this, that you're never going to lose weight, it's just not true. So we're going to tackle that topic first, which is when you're dieting, you can eat whatever the hell you want as long as it's satisfying your goals. Now, some people will cut out bread completely, cut out ice cream, pizza, and they'll lose weight in the short term. But then as soon as the diet is over, they start eating that stuff again to reward themselves for doing such a good job restricting themselves and feeling like garbage for the past 2-3 months, that as soon as they eat it, they go overboard and almost make up for the fact that they weren't eating it the past couple months. So they eat what they would have anyway. And then the fat comes back on really, really fast. And then you're back to square one. Now, for anybody who's not familiar, that is the restrict binge cycle. You tell yourself you're not going to have something, and then that makes you want it that much more. And then when you finally give in, because willpower is finite, there is a limited amount. Once it's all run out, so then you're right into the binge. And then all progress is lost, feel like a failure, and then you hate yourself for it. And we're back to square one. So we don't want that. We just don't. There's no reason to, because unfortunately, in our society right now, it's very, what's the word? Masochistic, I think it might be. I'm sorry if that meant something completely different than what I intended. I'm trying to pull out the Webster's dictionary here, but it feels like we don't deserve progress. We don't deserve to look good and feel good unless we suffer for it, which is a complete load of shit. It's this whole macho thing of like, you gotta will yourself, you gotta grind yourself into the ground, no days off, 7 days a week, no sleep. Yeah, those guys can just shove it. And I know it's mostly guys because it's the whole bodybuilder like lifestyle that, hey, I used to be obsessed with it, and I still love bodybuilding to a degree, but the whole macho mindset of like, you just gotta will it, bro. If you don't want it enough, then you don't deserve it. Fuck that. I'm sorry. Fuck that. Okay. There is a way to get the progress that you want by eating the foods that you absolutely love. It's more of a matter of quantity rather than like cutting it all out. it's not the specific foods that are going to get you there. It's the amount that you eat to a degree. Okay. In previous podcasts, we talked about food quality. Like if the quality is not great, you'll lose weight, but you're not going to necessarily lose fat. But if we're trying to move the scale, quantity is what is going to do it. So for example, last night, so the previous Thursday to this podcast, my superstar client, Jillian, that was on the last podcast, was in my private Facebook group, which if you guys want to get in, let me know on TikTok, Instagram, whatever, email me. I'll gladly put you in that group. But she was commenting on something about how she is going to like a state fair or something that night and wants to like hold herself back from eating the fried dough. And I'm like, Jillian, we talked about this. Save 500 calories, give yourself a couple bites of it, feel good about it, and then move on. And she's like, yeah, you're right. So next comes the picture of her with a big funnel cake smiling. And she's like, I made it fit. And I'm like, good, because if you do that process of telling yourself, nope, don't have it, I want to be good while I'm doing this diet, okay, that's not good. That's good in the moment, bad in the long run. So that little bit of sweetness and deliciousness and fried food will serve her better by eating it and fitting it into her day. And that's how you create long-term success. That's how you create a lifestyle, because the rest of her day, the rest of her week was amazing. It was all lean sources of protein, fruits, vegetables, all the stuff that we talk about. And then that little treat, it's not a reward or anything like that. I like it's just a way to make it work, and it's your lifestyle. You help to the time indulge a little bit within reason, keeping it in your calories, because that makes you happy. We all have foods that do that have some sort of an emotional connection or some sort of thing that makes us want to eat it. Like if we like salty or sweet or whatever, we all have our preferences. There's no reason that you can't fit it in. So if this is applying to you and you're just like, but I don't know, like that is the toxic food culture that we're living in right now. Try and break free from those chains. You can live an active, healthy lifestyle without feeling the guilt that comes along with eating foods that aren't viewed as the best. So that is my TED Talk for the day. Yeah, I think that pretty much covered that whole topic. Just eat what makes you happy. And remember that satisfying your goals also makes you happy. So do what you got to do to work towards the progress while keeping your mental sanity and not feeling like you're holding off because you're going to get a good treat at the end of this. You're not a dog. Okay. You're not a little kid where it's like, oh, you'll get a cookie if you do this. No, work it in, figure it out. And if you need help with that, let me know. That's literally what I do for a living. Just hit me up. I'll help you out. Yeah. Then the next thing, which is going to tie in nicely to what I just talked about, which is calories and protein. The only two things that when I'm working with clients that I want them to focus on, because if you satisfy your calorie goal, your weight is going to do what we want it to, whether it's go down, maintain, go up, whatever. Calories drive the needle. Then the protein is going to control for quality, because quality is going to be what burns fat over weight in general, which could be sacrificing muscle if your protein isn't high enough. So those two things in itself will yield the best results. When it comes to carbs and protein, that's more preference based on what you like to eat. And some days are going to be different than others, and that's fine. The only thing to be cautious of when it comes to fats is just to not dip below 20% of your total calories, because that's when you get into the territory of like, it could mess with your hormones and other stuff like that. So most of us don't have that problem because fats are very easy to come by. Especially if like you cook for yourself and you use grass-fed butter or olive oil and you cook in that, you're probably there. Along with if you have some sort of red meat or any type of meat that's not 99.9% lean, you're probably getting that too. Like salmon, boom, you checked off that box. So yeah, the calories and the protein. Now, how do we figure out the calories and protein? For you, if your goal is weight loss, you take whatever that number in your head, that weight that you want to get to, and you multiply that. Or before I go there, you want it to be your lean body mass. Okay, so if you have access to an in-body scanner or your weight scale gives you like a rough estimate of what your lean body mass is, then that's the number in grams. So say I'm 170 pounds lean body mass, I'd want 170 grams of protein a day. Now, if you don't have access to that and you want to get the number that you should be using, oh boy, somebody done got hit. But if you need a number to go off of, take that goal number. So if I want to get to 170 pounds, but I don't have a scanner or anything, but that's just what I'm aiming for, then 170 grams of protein. Now, that more times than not, that's going to be a little bit higher than what our actual lean body mass is, but that's okay, because overeating on protein is probably, it's not going to be detrimental because it's going to help fill you up, keep you sane, and fuel your muscles. And on top of that, there are some studies to show that overeating on protein doesn't have as much of a fat gaining effect as if you overeat on the carbs and the fat. Total calories still matter, but if it's pretty much, if you're gonna overeat, do it on protein. So that's why I say it's not a big deal if you have extra protein. And when you go into a diet, your protein requirements actually go up. So lean body mass is a good number to go off of, but you really want to, like, if we're being like perfect, you want to get somewhere around like one say like 170 pounds is 100% of my lean body mass. I'd want like 125%. So I'd probably aim for like 190, 200 grams of protein, because when you're in a deficit, your body wants to pull from the most expensive tissue, which is muscle. So you got to give it a little bit extra. And that way it only pulls from the fat mostly. Yeah. So that's how you figure it out. Then you take that lean body mass, and to figure out the calories, I never got to that part. To figure out the calories, you take that lean body mass number, and you multiply it by anywhere from 10 to 12. And that's based on activity level. So let's say you work at a desk all day and you drive home and you pick your kids up and you drive them to practice, and then you sit down and watch them, and you bring them back home, and then you sit down and watch Netflix, and there's not a lot of movement. It's just a lot of sitting and driving. You'd be a 10. Okay, you just take your lean body mass number, multiply by 10. Now, let's say you're the complete opposite of that. Yeah, maybe you're moving around and stuff, but you're walking a lot. Maybe your job requires you to be on your feet most of the day. You get a lot of workouts in, so you're getting like 3 to 5 like weight workouts in, or cardio or whatever, throughout the week. Then you would multiply by 12. Now, let's say that you're in the middle. You don't really know where you're at. Then you would multiply by 11, and that would give you your total calories. So if you're, there we go. So if you're trying to get to, for my sake, if I'm trying to get to 170 pounds and I don't really move a lot throughout the day, and I am very sedentary, I would get 1,700 calories. And for some of us, this is going to be a lot more calories than you thought it would take to lose weight, because 1200 is not a magical number. It never was. It never will be. It's only a way to get quick results so that you would use apps like MyFitnessPal because you'll see results. It's just the stereotypical way of getting results quick so that you stay on. It's the same as trainers who just like beat you into the ground to make you feel like you got a great workout. It's the same as diets or diet coaches that starve you just so you get what you're paying for, which is losing weight, but then they leave you worse off than when you started. Okay. It's not a sustainable way. And that's the real goal. Like, do you want to keep doing this over and over again and go through that cycle of, oh, I lost a bunch of weight, then I put it back on, then I lost a lot of weight, then I put it back on? Or would you rather just do this once, do it right, and enjoy the results for the rest of your life? Take your pick. Because you never want to get in the cycle of yo-yo dieting unless you want to look like Oprah. Because she's pretty much the poster board for what yo-yo dieting looks like: wrecking your metabolism, jumping onto the next fad and promoting the shit out of it, telling all your friends, and then guess what? You made your friends worse off. Sorry, that's a rant for a different time. Yeah. So that's pretty much that for calories and protein. Now, there was another question and I could not remember. There were three good ones. What's the other one? Can't think of it right now. And it's really bothering me. It's like one of those things, like as soon as you get out of the car, or as soon as you like hop in the shower, it's like, oh shit, that's what it was. What was it? Oh, I got one from last night. This isn't the one I was thinking of, but we'll end it on 3 because 3 is a good number. Somebody asked me on the TikTok thing last night, the live, when to have your protein shake. Before, after? Is it really as important as people make it out to be? Well, for 99.9% of people, it really doesn't matter. The thing that does matter is total protein at the end of the day. If we're talking just strictly protein and protein shakes, like it's just like you're eating your body's not going to be like, oh, it's a shake. No, it's going to be like, all right, this is protein, maybe a little bit of carbs and fat. Just like if you were to eat a chicken breast, okay, this is a little bit of protein and fat and some carbs. Okay, great. Like it's not going to be a big difference. It's just the total amount that you get throughout the day. The one thing I will say when it comes to protein specifically is that recently it's been found that like people that do intermittent fasting don't get as good of a response when it comes to building muscle or maintaining muscle because of that limited feeding window. So, and this is because your body doesn't really have a storage mechanism for protein, which probably plays into the fact that it's kind of okay to overeat it because it always gets used, and it's very, very taxing on the body to break it down. So you're burning calories just to break down that protein. Yeah, damn it, I lost my train of thought. But the fasting, because when you do intermittent fasting, you only get like 2, maybe 3 feedings of protein in like a short little window. Your body goes a long time without protein, and during that time, it is possible that it will pull for energy. It will pull from your lean body mass, your muscle tissue, your bone, your ligaments, tendons. It'll pull from there because those are much more expensive and much more, I guess you could say it's a lot easier for your body to get rid of that stuff because it's more metabolically active than fat. And it wants to hold on to fat because it's easy storage. It's just hanging there. It's not really doing anything. So when you get the multiple feedings of protein throughout the day, you get this constant stream of protein being fed to the body so that your muscles kind of always, and the tendons, ligaments, all that good stuff, always get that nice steady stream of protein to keep feeding them. And that way, when you do burn something for calories, it'll more likely be from fat rather than your lean body tissue. So just, it's like a scale of good, better, best. If we're talking muscle retention and muscle building, like multiple feedings, like 3 or 4 feedings, whether that be meals or shakes throughout the day, is likely better than fasting and doing it for 1, 2, maybe 3. Because all the fasting people are like, oh, but the growth hormones spike when you fast. Like, that doesn't negate what I just talked about. It's a lot of times when you hop on fads like vegan or fasting or any of this stuff, and they talk about all these physiological effects, those are acute effects, not effects that add up over time. And there's a result that you can put out there. Like when you burn all the fat, when you do keto, you're burning a crap ton of fat because you're eating a crap ton of fat. Now, will that always result in net fat loss, like losing the fat on your body? No, not all the time. You still need to be in a caloric deficit because that net balance needs to be lower. You're burning fat and storing fat at the exact same time. Same with like when you're fasting, your hormones, like your growth hormone, is not just spiking and then, oh, I'm not fasting, so I'm just going to go away. No, it's always kind of working. It's always in your system. It doesn't just completely shut off. And that's the part that pisses me off when I see people like promoting all these like physiological effects of like supplements or methods of eating or stuff like that. It's like they act like one hormone is the reason that it's so freaking great. Like all these keto people, oh, no insulin. It's like, no, insulin just doesn't stop producing in your body. It may elevate, it may not, like, but it's never gone. So it's always, so did this lever getting pulled up or down make the difference that I wanted it to? Did this like move the needle in the right direction? And the only thing that really is controllable when it comes to everything that I talked about is the calories. Calories are going to move the needle, not some sort of like hormonal spike. Well, I officially went off the deep end on that one. This whole podcast is just a giant rant. But they're good questions. They're really good questions. And it's always important to listen to a lot of different people and a lot of different experts in different fields to really form an educated opinion on this stuff. And I do give a lot of shits about fitness, and I listen to a lot of different people. But if at any point you find yourself like feeling like, oh, but this person said this, if that's your logic behind anything, there's something wrong there. Understand the processes behind things, not just taking people's word for it because they're smart. Okay, just because you get a PhD or an MD or whatever, that doesn't come with integrity. That doesn't guarantee that they're not trying to make a quick buck. That's like pretty much every time you see like a infomercial for like some BS supplement. But Dr. Shitstain promotes it. He's got his MD, and he just took a paycheck and said, yeah, say whatever you want. So be very careful where you get your sources from is one thing. The resounding thing I'd say, like answering a lot of these questions, just never ever get caught in the trap of, well, they said this, so it has to be true. Vet people, make sure it's legit, regardless of what information. Fitness, nutrition, anything health related, always vet people. So I think this is a good spot to end it. Now I can end my rants. So I hope everybody got a little something out of this. If I wasn't clear on something, I know I kind of went off on tangents. So if something was lost in translation, and also because this is the first podcast, or it will be the first podcast of me flying solo now, For podcast listeners only, I'll be offering 1 free month of online training so you can see what it's all about and hopefully hang out and stick around and get some awesome results in the process. That's not hopefully, you definitely will get awesome results. So just let me know if you want to take advantage of that. Go to coachfitz.com, coachfitzz.com, and hit work with me, and then fill out that application and just let me know, hey, I was listening to your podcast. Can't wait to work with you. And you get your 1 free month. All right. Hope everybody has an amazing week. Go kick some ass. I will see you guys next time.